Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Oyima Edet, coming to you live from here, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu launches conditional cash transfer for 15 million households. Governor Moino approved release of additional 1.6 billion naira for retired teachers, local government workers and state civil servants. Plus, UN warns Israel of a possible war crime. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying with us. First in the news this afternoon is Nigeria's leader, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has launched the Renewed Hope conditional cash transfer for 15 million households. The event, which coincided with the World Poverty Eradication Day, was held at the Press Gallery of the State House in Abuja. The president, who is represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Judge Akuma, said that 15 million households represent 62 million Nigerians. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Eradication, Beta Edu, Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, World Bank Country Director, Shubham Choudhury, and the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Nigeria, Matthias Kimmel, among other dignitaries, were present at the event. Recall that the president had, in his maiden Independence Day broadcast to Nigerians on October 1st, 2023, announced the cash transfer program, which is said would target vulnerable citizens. Away from that, the Federal Executive Council FEC has approved the establishment of the Presidential Council on Industrial Revitalization Roadmap, which will be chaired by President Bola Tinubu and comprise 10 subcommittees. This is disclosed by the Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, Doris Uzoka-Nite. Uzoka-Nite spoke at the end of the FEC meeting, explaining that the subcommittees will deliberate on various policies within different ministries and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. According to the minister, the ministry have a plethora of policies, frameworks and guidelines aimed at reinvigorating industries across the diverse ministries and agencies. Meanwhile, the Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has okayed the federal government to assess $1.5 billion World Bank's budget support loan. Edun said the facility, which would be provided by the International Development Association, IDA, a financing arm of the World Bank, is a low-interest instrument and it is meant for the revival of the nation's economy. According to him, FEC also approved $18 million in financing from the African Development Bank, AFDB, for the Ekiti Knowledge Zone Project, EKZ, and 30 days for the implementation of the government organized labor's agreement on petrol subsidy removal palliatives. He explained that the AFDB $80 million facility for the EKZ project is aimed at helping young people have better insight into a knowledge-based economy, technology, and communications.
Things are tough. Mr. President is aware, and that is why he has the intervention package, 500 billion naira, as well as other measures, including a wage award and later on a new wage structure for the country. So I think that answers all the questions about the 1.5 billion, why and how soon, and use of proceeds. It goes straight into the balance of payments, goes straight into the reserves to support the effort to improve the country's fiscal situation, to improve.
In the meantime, the Federal Executive Council FEC has proposed 26.01 trillion naira for the 2024 fiscal year submission to the National Assembly. This is according to the Minister of Budget and Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who spoke after the council meeting presided over by President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. According to him, FEC pegged the price of crude oil at $73.96, exchange rate of $700, and oil production of 1.78 million barrels per day. During the briefing at the council chamber, Bagudu said the government is working to ensure a January-December budget cycle. He said the executive will put efforts in place to ensure the 2024 budget is passed and signed before December 2024. Bagudu also noted that FEC approved the 2024-2026 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (METF) and Fiscal Strategy Papers (FSP).
The assumptions include oil price benchmark, which I said for 2024 we are assuming 73.96, oil production of 1.78 million barrels a day, exchange rate of 700, then the inflation of 21% and GDP growth rate of 3.76%. The aggregate expenditure is estimated at 26.01 trillion naira for the 2024. A supplementary budget because, of course, there are continuing obligations and there are responses to security which can be immediate. So Mr. President is mindful of those and is assessing them. But Mr. President is also committed to the budget process and its integrity.
In a separate development, the federal government has announced its readiness to commence the payment of 9 months backlogs to NPA beneficiaries who are on the program beginning from November. The NPA National Program Manager Akindele Obunwalo disclosed this during a meeting with some NPA beneficiaries at his office in Abuja. Obuwalo, in a statement issued by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, stated that the main purpose for the temporary suspension of the program was to address all matters directly affecting beneficiaries. He said the NPA program would be continued as the Renewed Hope Job Creation Program under the supervision of the Humanitarian Minister. Meanwhile, the federal government has handed a 30-day ultimatum to the United Nations, UN, and other international agencies in Nigeria, within which they should give a detailed account of how funds from donor agencies have been spent over the years. The federal government threatened that should the UN and the international agencies refuse to give an account of the expenditure, a court order will be used to compel them to do so. The Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, issued the threat during a press conference, noting that the 30-day ultimatum starting from October 16 to November 15 had been given to the organizations, failure to which the ministry would proceed to court. She also raised concern over the misuse of $100 million that was earmarked for a World Bank-sponsored project meant to encourage women in business, empower them, particularly in the field of agriculture, and give little capital, as well as teach them on how to save. In the meantime, the federal government has said that power consumers paid a total of 267.86 billion naira as electricity bills in the second quarter of this year. It disclosed these in the just released second quarter 2023 report of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, while explaining the collection efficiency of power distribution companies during the review period. It said the total revenue collected by all discos in 2022 Quarter 2 was 267.86 billion naira out of 354.61 billion naira billed to customers. This translates to a collection efficiency of 75.54%, which represents an increase of 6.79 pp basic points when compared to 2023 Quarter 1, 68.75%. We move to the red chambers where Senate President Godswill Akpabio has distanced himself from the sack of Adamawa North Senator Elisha Abo by the Court of Appeal. Akpabio said contrary to Abo's claim, he has no reason to witch hunt the sacked lawmaker. He disclosed this while speaking through his media aide Isame Eyibo. Recall that Abo had accused Akpabio of being responsible for his removal, saying that 4 other senators who worked against the emergence of Akpabio as Senate President had been penciled down to be sacked. Reacting, Akpabio accused Abo of looking for a pesty. Meanwhile, the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, United States of America, USA, has called on the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, to resign over his alleged lackluster handling of the affairs of the upper chamber. The coalition claimed that Akpabio, who was planted as a Senate President by President Tinubu, has completely subjugated his colleagues under the executive and eroded the independence and integrity of the legislature in Nigeria. Executive Director of NADECO USA, Lloyd Oku, in a statement accused Akpabio of showing absolute disdain for the standing rules of the Senate as regards the order of proceedings, vibrant debates during plenary, and thorough scrutiny of executive communications and bills. Ogu insisted that should Akpabio fail to resign or senators fail to impeach him, NADECO USA would have no option than to mobilize its members in the U.S. and Nigerians in diaspora for a mass action to ensure that he vacates office. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino, in line with his promise to continue to pay down the arrears of retired primary school workers, has approved the prompt release of an additional 1.6 billion naira. The amount is designed to continue to pay down the arrears of gratuities of retired primary school teachers, local government workers, and civil servants in the state. In a release statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Ekerete Udo, Pastor Moino is determined to keep to the promise he made the state organized labor during their one-day national protest march, to regularly set aside funds to continue the payment of gratuities. According to Ekerete, the governor had previously released 3 billion naira for the same purpose, bringing the total amount so far released for the purpose to 4.6 billion naira. We move to Africa, where South Sudan's President Salva Kiir says he will host representatives of Sudanese political leaders in the capital, Juba, in a bid to end the brutal 6-month conflict. A statement from Kiir's press unit says the meeting will take place next week. According to the statement, the Sudan's leaders will review the Juba peace agreement signed in 2020 between then transitional government and rebel factions while seeking a way to resolve the current crisis. Recall that Kiir appealed to the military and political leaders in Sudan to end the ongoing conflict through peaceful dialogue. Still in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Transport Minister Mark Ekila has said that 47 bodies have been recovered from the Congo River as search and rescue efforts continue following the boat disaster. Ekila said the boat accident was caused by overloading and sailing at night, which are prohibited by regulations. He said an investigation was underway and those responsible for the capsizing would be held to account. On a foreign scene, the United Nations UN has again pleaded for aid agencies to gain access to Gaza and warned of possible war crimes. Spokeswoman for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ravina Shamdasani, said the organization is concerned about the Israeli military's demand that Palestinians move from northern Gaza to the south could amount to the forcibly transfer of civilians in breach of international law. In a statement, Shamdasani adds that attacks on civilians while attempting to flee the necessary parts of Gaza must be investigated independently. Still on the foreign scene, President Joe Biden will make a landmark trip to Israel on Wednesday, a show of ironclad support as Washington tries to prevent the escalating war in Gaza from spilling over into regional conflict. The threat comes just days after Gaza-based Hamas fighters broke through Israel's heavy fortified border, allegedly shooting, stabbing, and burning to death more than 1,400 people. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Biden's visit would be a statement of solidarity with Israel and an ironclad commitment to its security. And still to come in the news, Varper returned to Premier League duty after Spurs' Liverpool era. To stay with us.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures holds significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of the news stories. On a business news, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has revealed that Nigeria witnessed a decline in total capital importation, dropping to $1.03 billion from $1.5 billion in Q2 of 2022, marking a 32.90% decrease. The NBS report also revealed a 90.04% decrease from the $1.13 billion recorded in Q1. According to the Bureau, investment ranked top, accounting for 81.28% of total capital importation in Q2 of 2023, followed by portfolio investment with 10.37% and foreign direct investment with 8.35%. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has granted approval for Paralex Bank to collect Nigeria Export Supervision Scheme (NESS) fees. The approval was given in a circular signed by Dr. W.J. Kania on behalf of the Director of the Trade and Exchange Department at the Apex Bank. Dr. Kania noted that the approval was granted under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning Wale Edun, and called upon all authorized dealers and service providers to take note of the significant development. NESS fee is reportedly a mandatory payment to the federal government for all legitimate goods exported from Nigeria, encompassing both non-oil and oil-based products. We move to health, where the President, Nigeria Optometric Association, Dr. Chimeziri Anderson, says routine blood pressure and fasting blood sugar tests play critical roles in ensuring comprehensive eye health care. The community eye health epidemiologist said it was necessary to ensure that those tests were integrated into primary care services covered by the health maintenance organizations. This, he said, would make them accessible and affordable. He therefore advised Nigerians to go for regular eye checkups, practice eye safety, live healthy lifestyles, and spread awareness of the importance of eye health. Still in health, a consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Oluwafumilayo Akinola, has expressed concern over the rising prevalence of mental illness among young Nigerians across the country. She noted that most mental disorders are insidious, stressing that they start from adolescents around the age of 15. While speaking at an event organized by the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, FNPH, Yaba, Lagos State, the psychiatrist lamented that 1 in every 8 persons globally lives with mental disorders. We move to sport now, where Darren England and Daniel Cook are to return to Premier League duty for the first time since their era during Liverpool's defeat at Tottenham. England and Cook were the VAR and assistant VAR when Luis Diaz's goal for Liverpool was incorrectly ruled out or offside in their 2-1 loss last month. The pair were stood down for 2 later matches and excluded from the following round of fixtures. England will be the 4th official as Brentford hosts Burnley on Saturday. Meanwhile, Cook has been named as an assistant referee for Sheffield United's home game with Manchester United also on Saturday. Still in sports, the Euro 2024 qualifying fixture between Belgium and Sweden was reportedly abandoned after a gunman shot 2 fans dead before kickoff. Reports say the game was being played about 5 kilometers from the shooting in Brussels, and over 35,000 fans were in attendance. Meanwhile, Eric Van Duys, spokesperson for the Federal Prosecutor's Office, has told reporters that the investigation was centering on a possible terrorist motivation for the shooting. On our entertainment news, Nigerian singers Rema and CK are set to perform at the Hey Neighbor Music Festival in Pretoria in December 2023. They are part of a stellar lineup of musicians that will thrill festival goers at a 3-day jamboree. The Hey Neighbor Musical Festival will take place between the 8th and 10th of December 2023. And while other global stars expected to join Rema and CK at the event include American artists Kendrick Lamar, the Chainsmokers, Her, and Khalid, amongst others. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Oyima, edit. Many thanks for being there, and do enjoy the rest of your day.